is happening right now, and what I'm showing is what I call the complexity trap. So let me show you a little bit about what that is, because this is the human behavior, regardless of size of organization, that happens. The first thing is, if you're operating with complexity, you probably have less focus, right? You're executing your calendar. And the reason for that is we are focused on the volume of work, not the value of work. You can tell me all you want about your mission statements and all that other junk that we talk about, we do valuable work. Who doesn't do valuable work? The problem is you don't do it a lot. We reward people, think about this, for managing more people, more products, more revenue, or more expenses, whatever it might be, more geographies, more. That's what you get promoted for, that's what you get bonused on. Very few organizations, although I was on the phone with Santa Fe this morning and they're starting to do this, reward people and measure people that do less. Why don't we do that? That sends a signal. So how do you focus on not the volume of work, but the value of it? Have you defined what valuable work is to your team? I bet you think you have, but you haven't. The second thing I'll tell you is that if you're operating with complexity, it's not just about having less focus, you're operating with less agility. And what I mean by that, and I use this word lightly, it's you're internally focused versus externally. You are more concerned about the microscope than the telescope. And as a leader, you need to balance. You need a little telescope and you need a little microscope. And I talk to so many teams, and the oxymoron right now is we're supposed to be agile, which, by the way, is such an overused word, right, since COVID. Everybody here sick of pivoting and being agile? Honestly, I tell people if one more person tells you to pivot, you can like slap them upside the head, right? Got to pivot. And the reason why, and I'm saying this jokingly, is I want my team to be agile too, and I want them to pivot. But I don't want them to do it in a reactive way, right? That's reacting. I'm waiting for the problem to happen. Complexity makes you can be agile, but you're waiting to react to people's problems. Simplicity gets you off your heels and puts you on your toes. Simplicity is an offensive strategy. Complexity is defense. So if you're operating with simplicity, you can create the change you want to put on others, not wait to react to the ones that get put on you. The final thing in the complexity trap, you don't have as much focus, you're not as agile, is probably the worst one, and that's that you don't have time to think. How many people here would love to have a little bit more time to think? I would, and I know all the tricks in the book. So one of the things about this is we have this kind of addiction to doing versus thinking. Thinking has become a daring act in a lot of organizations. And the reason I say that is because we think we value thinking, but we don't. And I use the metaphor, imagine walking into someone's office when we used to work full-time in an office, right? And there's someone that you need to talk to, there's Joe, and Joe is just looking out the window and staring. And you say, Joe, I'm sorry to bother you, but I wanted to ask you a question. And Joe says, oh, God, don't worry, I was just thinking. What is going through your mind about Joe? Lazy, daydream, get back to work. Right? Joe's not working, he's thinking. Thinking is a daring act. And the only way we're going to be able to be strategic is to clear the space for thinking to happen. The front end of innovation isn't ideas. You guys have plenty of ideas. The problem is you can't get to them. The front end of innovation is getting rid of complexity. Then you have the space and the time and, frankly, the energy to do the work that matters.